Hi, my name is Ilana. I'm the founder of INC Capital, where we advise our clients on global citizenship and residency by investment solutions. Today, I have with me Michael Maxwell, who is the founder of Portugal Panorama and the advisor to the fund. It is managed by FundBox and regulated by the CMVM in Portugal. Michael, welcome.
Thank you so much, Ilana. It's lovely to be here. A bit about my own background. I've put a lot of years in consulting and lessons learned from capital raising, bit of fund management into Panorama. Really trying to design something different, unique in this Golden Visa space. And it's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. So when did you launch Panorama?
Panorama came to market April, May last year.
2024.
2024. So heading on into our second year, 2 years in April next year.
Okay, so you've got a 2-year capital raise. Maybe you can explain a little bit to people how the Panorama Fund works. What makes it unique? I think that's important. What makes it unique in this market? And then how does the capital raise, deployment, and eventual exit work?
Yeah, so we picked up that for Golden Visa investors, it's all about don't lose my capital, don't lose my Golden Visa. And we noticed most would diversify into multiple funds.
Yes, that's true.
So we thought, we know the clients, we know Portugal. Let's design something that achieves that for them. So we launched Panorama as a co-investment fund, which hadn't really been done before here. It's a unique proposition. And like that, investors are essentially getting the slices of the portfolio of 4 different funds in one. So if they still would like to diversify, 2 funds would be more than enough because we've done so much for them. They wouldn't have to look at 3, 4, 5 funds, which some people even sometimes do.
Yeah, tell me more about what is in Panorama, or what is the other 4 underlying asset classes look like? So how are you diversifying the risk for a client?
Yeah, so as much as we love living here, and Portugal's a wonderful place, it is a more limited economy. So you need to choose your areas with a right to win. So for us, that was hospitality, renewable energy, private healthcare, as well as agriculture.
Okay. So that's what your fund is diversifying into?
Correct. That was step 1, was choosing where to invest. Step 2 was then to identify who we wanted to co-invest with. So within those areas, we tried to identify your leading fund managers based on fundamentals like team, track record, ethical alignment, and approach them not to invest into their funds, but to invest into the same deals that they're sourcing for their funds.
That's important because that distinction means that a client is not investing in a fund of funds that would typically add to the cost. You're investing in the underlying asset or in the deal flow. So the cost doesn't actually increase for a client having access to multiple funds. Is that correct?
So that was the whole point of this. A fund of funds has that multiple layer of cost, which isn't ideal. But also one of your biggest challenges in Portugal is securing solid investment pipeline and deal flow. And by partnering with the right people in the right areas, we've got that taken care of. It's deal flow coming from an incredibly credible source with track record, with skin in the game. It's still not taken for granted, though. FundBox and their investment committee will double check everything.
I think that's important for people to understand how the Portuguese fund market works. The market is highly regulated by the CMVM, and there's a large number of asset management companies that are the regulated entities. And people like Michael, when he created the Portugal Panorama Fund, as the fund advisor, has to partner with and use one of these asset management companies. So FundBox is one of the well-established asset management companies that has a long-term track record. So they effectively double-check everything that happens in the Panorama Fund, and they're responsible for the compliance work that happens that keeps the fund compliant with the CMVM regulation, and also that ensures that the fund continues to qualify for Golden Visa investments. So I think that's just a distinction we have to make. I think people find it quite confusing with so many names in the market who's responsible for what. So you bring the creativity, and FundBox takes care of the compliance, I guess.
Yes, and I chose them on purpose. I wanted a really strong fund manager, a fund manager that wouldn't be scared to say no to a deal. And FundBox is there so we can all sleep well at night. They've got full fiduciary responsibility on the fund.
Yes.
And they will review not only the commercials and the numbers, but also the Golden Visa risk, which in this case is as important. Let's not kid ourselves. People aren't doing this because they love Portugal, investing in Portugal. At the end of the day, they're doing this for a Golden Visa.
That is very true. So how does your fund work? Talk to me a little bit about the structure. I think specifically as it relates to the open-ended funds that are available. We're seeing a lot of increased interest in open-ended funds. So how does your fund work as a closed-end fund? And why do you have different investment opportunities there than, for instance, one of the open-ended funds would have?
Yeah, so we looked at it and just saw this opportunity in co-investments, investing with investment houses with really solid track record in a private equity space. So it's not venture capital, it's more like it's growth capital.
Yeah.
So you don't have that typical risk you'd associate. It is an 8-year term in total, where you essentially divide it into 2 years capital raising, 4 years deployment, 2 years exit. Okay, so it's built that everyone is able to exit in time. Should Golden Visa laws change, and it looks like they probably are, and people might need to stay invested a bit longer, assuming that they're not going for permanent residency after 5 years, you can always do that. But it comes down to unit holder votes. So if the majority of the fund votes to extend, an extension can happen. It's likely it will happen because everyone's in the same Golden Visa boat.
Yeah. But your fund is now coming towards the end of its two-year fundraise, which means that a client that's investing now only has 6 and a bit years to go anyway to exit. So it's not as if though they're investing in a fund that has an 8-year term starting today, right? We're 2 years into the capital raise.
Yeah, correct. We are approaching that 2-year mark. We're really happy with the progress and the way things are going. Running 6 months to a year ahead of schedule from a capital raising deployment point of view. They would come in today with about 6.5 years to go, which is, I imagine, sufficient for most clients' ambitions and obtaining permanent residency in Portugal.
Yeah, and you won't change your structure, right? So if you come to the end of or the period where you were going to exit, you would exit anyway, and you might just invest those in the funds into fixed deposits or cash instruments to keep the funds liquid for exit when clients start exiting.
Correct. So you can always exit underlying deals, pay out the profits on them, but not the principal. The principal would stay invested, the fund would stay active, so people can keep on renewing their visa as long as they need.
Okay, until they apply for either PR
Correct.
or citizenship.
Correct.
Okay, very cool. And then what are the plans for the future? Are you thinking about creating some different funds, different structures? Anything you can share with us? I know sometimes you don't want to talk about this.
A few things are cooking that look pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I think Portugal Panorama, that concept of a co-investment fund, has a strong name now, a strong following. It's a concept that clearly works. So we'd probably look at a Panorama 2. Okay, so watch this space. There may be something in the digital asset space as well. We're in discussions with a major international bank that potentially wants to do something with us, co-brand an option. And then I'm on a whole nother adventure in Italy, but that's a discussion for another time.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you, guys. That was the overview of the Portugal Panorama Fund. Please do subscribe to the video. Ask us any questions below. And if you'd like to have a conversation with Michael about his fund, get in touch with us and we'll set up a conversation for you with him directly. Thank you.